With that, it's time to get things underway with our first session of the day, the State of Audio. Please welcome to the stage CRA CEO Ford Ennals and Chief Commercial Officer Joe Dick.
Joel, thank you so much. I'm trying to think about the analogy of keeping a ship on track, but that was fantastic. Hello, everyone. It's so great to see you here. Thank you so much for coming. I know when you got up this morning, you had a big decision to make. Beach conference, but thank you for choosing to come to the conference. It's an absolute delight to see you here. It is going to be a packed agenda, but I hope a great agenda with a lot of interesting insights and some great personalities. So Joe and I are going to be really quick. It's going to take 10 minutes of your time. We're going to give an audio update. But Joe, welcome. It's good to see you here too.
Thank you so much, Ford.
And you know, you're an ex-media agency person. I think you were the queen of audio and outdoor at Omnicom, they say.
I was at Omnicom and OMD for very many years.
So how do you feel about today? How does it feel being on
Amazing.
this side of the track?
Oh, fantastic. Looks really good to be over here sitting on the stage in front of people. Great to see so many people here today and so many familiar faces. I think the great interest in audio is down to the fact that audio has made a significant transformation over the last couple of years. It's now offering new advertising formats, new opportunities for advertisers. Today we're going to share with you some new studies that are going to be showing you that audio and radio are increasingly effective mediums to deliver reach, efficiency, effectiveness and integration. So thanks,
Great.
Ford.
All right, Joe, thank you so much. You grab a quick seat. So I mean, first off, let's start with the health of the audio market. This is the age of audio. It's always on, it's evolving, it's growing at a rapid pace. You can take it anywhere. It's available on a staggering number of devices, more every day, and it's truly complementary whether you're surfing the net or whether you're driving in your car. And this is a market truly in transformation and very much on the rise, where there's a significant and sustained ad revenue growth. Now, the key audio trends that we're talking about here date back a number of years, but they were all accelerated by the pandemic and people's adoption of digital devices during that time. And these trends are mostly global. But what's exciting for me coming to Australia and being here now is that so many of them have an Australian flavor, and I'll come back to that theme in a second. Now, I mentioned global trends. The growth of digital audio is really critical and also a huge opportunity for our sector. And as I say, it's enabled by the accelerated adoption of digital devices. This has led to the rise of digital radio streaming, more of that later, the growth of audio on demand, and of course the explosion of podcast listening. And I'm really looking forward to the podcast session a bit later. The other key global trend we see, and you know this, is the straight switch from owning music to streaming music. And as you know, listeners today, they don't buy physical or digital forms of music, they stream it. And the vast majority of that, though, is on a subscription basis, so it's not an addressable audience. I said there was a uniquely Australian flavour to the audio market here, and it's typified by the strength and resilience of radio. Yes, live radio, linear radio. That much-loved one-to-many broadcast medium, the one that offers curated premium content delivered by huge personalities, not an algorithm, that gives you emergency news and info when you need it. In fact, as a POM who used to work in UK radio, I can confirm that Australian radio is one of the most successful radio markets in the world. And part of what makes it successful is that we're not just talking about radio presenters here. These are true media stars, appearing cross-audio platform as well as on social media and TV. Everyone knows who these guys are. Everyone has an opinion about them, and that's really powerful. And this strength in talent and content is one of the reasons that in Australia, commercial radio is actually growing audience. And how many markets, how many mediums can say that? Just this month, we hit an all-time record commercial radio audience of 12.1 million. And as you know, Australian radio audiences are going digital, with radio's digital reach doubling to nearly 30% of all listeners listening digitally at some point in the week, and radio's digital share of listening trebling in the last 5 years. And that growth is set to continue and to accelerate. And the other unique Australian flavour is the fact that Australian radio broadcasters have leaned into growing the podcast market, which means that radio content and radio personalities dominate the list of the most listened to podcasts when you look at the Triton podcast ranker. We don't see that in any other market in the world. These global trends, coupled with Australian radio broadcaster investment and innovation in the digital audio market, are the reason that PwC, when they came to report just a month ago, their Australia Entertainment and Media Report, they actually said that they projected that radio-related ad revenue over the next 4 to 5 years was due to grow between a mid-case of plus $250 million and a high case of $500 million. I mean, that's extraordinary growth, and I think that's great news. That's the world we're in. And just to finish, Dan Robbins from PwC was kind enough to send me his graphs, because I said, if I put these graphs up as CRA graphs, you won't believe them. So these are the graphs that show that explosive growth. Growth in linear radio, the doubling of digital radio streaming, and the trebling of podcasts. I mean, these are extraordinary times, and it's great to be part of that. So overall, it's a strong radio and audio growth story. But what about the key considerations for audio advertisers and for media agencies? For so many people in this room, who better than to ask someone who actually has made that transition successfully in the last year from the agency side, some would say to the dark side, but certainly to CRA. So Joe, I'm going to hand over to you.
Thank you so much, Ford. I think it's the fun side. I'm having a ball. I made the transition over from media agency land about 18 months ago. And one thing that struck me was that the advertising success story for radio is a bit lost in a really cluttered media environment. And the messaging around scale and frequency and efficiency may be misunderstood, may be forgotten, may be unknown. So let's go into do some mythbusters. Firstly, people say to me, young people don't listen to Radio Joe. Well, that's categorically not true. GfK, the industry currency, who surveys 60,000 people a year, shows us that against 18 to 24-year-olds, there's a 73% reach. Pretty significant. Yes, they are listening less than the other demographics, but the research shows us that as they age, their listening habits increase. And if you look at their time spent listening, 8 hours and 54 minutes a week is a pretty impressive stat. Another myth is that for your audio strategy, you might only need to have free music streaming. Well, GfK did a commercial audio listening survey and found that commercial radio holds a 74% share of commercial audio listening. So that's audio where there's an ad in it. For free music streaming, it's got 10.1% share, and it's on plateauing, whereas commercial radio is trending, a positive trend at 74%. If we look at podcasts, they're on the rise, and that's at the expense of online music videos and TV music channels. As I said, commercial radio's share of commercial audio listening is 74%. That's all people. Let's look at another demographic, people 25 to 54. Commercial radio has a 64% share of that commercial audio listening. If we look at free music streaming, that's a 12.6% share. Commercial radio is 5 times the size of free music streaming. While we're here, let's bust another myth. We look at online music videos, and we just saw before that that's declining. That would be YouTube. That's only at 6.8% share. A couple of months ago, we launched the audio planning tool, and if you haven't had a chance to go and look at it, I really encourage you to do so. There's a lot of information there in terms of what you can use it for. The reason we put it together with Nielsen was because there was a gap in terms of what is the incremental reach of each of the different audio formats, and this tool will do it for you. As I said, powered by Nielsen CMV data, it's got lots of demographics in there and really simple to use. So the first thing you do is go and select your market. National, metro, regional, so we want to have all of Australia covered. Then you go and select your target audience. All the major demos are in there, and also some categories: insurance, finance, telco, QSR, just to name but a few. Then you go and select your audio formats that you want to put in there. So commercial radio, digital radio streaming, podcasts, free on-demand streaming. Then it builds you out to show the incremental reach of each of those platforms as you selected them. You can put these in any order you want to. So this is what's showing us against people 25 to 54, commercial radio has a 66% reach, Adding on digital radio streaming adds another 9.3%. Podcasts plus 3.4%, and then free music streaming on demand is 3.2%. As I said, any way you want to do that. But let's talk about digital audio. The tool will also allow you to look at individual formats on their own. So what's my reach going to look like? At a really top-line planning level, obviously. Again, with that demographic of people 25 to 54, if you look at digital radio streaming, that's got a reach of 32.5%. Then if we look at free music streaming on demand, 28.2% against that same demographic. And I can tell you every single demographic in here and category has that digital radio streaming has a higher reach than free music on demand music streaming. Last year, which feels like so long ago now, we announced that we were making the biggest change to our audience measurement system that had ever been done since audiences were measured way back when. GfK have monumentally overhauled what we were doing before in terms of the surveys and methodology around it. And I'm really pleased to say that we've got GfK on stage today to tell us more about it, like when's it coming and what will I see? They'll be talking to Russell Howcroft from Nine, and he's going to be interrogating in terms of what's in the data. We've just also finished the world's first research study into radio attention with amplified intelligence. I'm really excited to say that Karen Nelson-Field will be on a little later talking about the top-line results from that really exciting study, so stay tuned for that one. That is all from me. Thank you so much once again for coming. It's really great to see so many people here today. Have a great afternoon. We've got a great lineup of radio bits and pieces showcasing all the benefits of radio and audio. Thank you so much.